Hello students, welcome to ePathshalada. I am Dr. R. Annapurni, Professor of Economics, Avanashkam Institute for Home Science and Higher Education for Women, Coimbatore, belonging to Tamil Nadu State. Now today, we are going to discuss a module on secondary data, sources of secondary data and the difference between primary and secondary data. As a researcher, we are interested in the collection of the required data to fulfill the objectives of the study. Are you aware of the sources of data? It is sure that you may collect directly from the respondents and these constitute the primary data. The other alternate is to compile the existing data, that is secondary data. When we intend to collect secondary data, few questions arise in your mind. They are as follows. What are the published sources of secondary data? What are the unpublished sources of secondary data? What are the precautions to be taken in collecting secondary data? What are the steps required in evaluating secondary data? These questions would be answered by identifying the sources, advantages and disadvantages of secondary data. Now let us see the objectives of this module. At the end of this module, you would be able to describe the meaning of secondary data, identify the sources of secondary data, describe the methods of evaluating secondary data, and familiarize the application of case study method. Sources of secondary data. Meaning, secondary data refers to data that was collected by someone other than the user. It is the data that have been already collected by and readily available from other sources. Sources of secondary data. Secondary data may be either published data or unpublished data. Sources of published data. Various publications of the central, state or local government. Various publications of foreign governments or of international bodies and the statutory organizations. Technical and trade journals. Books, magazines and newspapers. Reports and publications of various associations connected with business and industry, bank, stock exchanges, etc. Reports prepared by research scholars, universities, etc. in different fields. Public records and statistics, historical documents and other sources of published information. Groups of published secondary data. Continuous or regular data. Statistical data published regularly in short intervals are called continuous or regular data. For example, the weekly index number of wholesale prices, monthly figure of exports and imports, monthly statistics of the production of certain selected industries in India. Periodical data. These are data regularly published at long intervals such as Indian Census, Statistical Abstract for India, Agricultural Statistics of India, Trade Statistics and statistical tables relating to banks in India. Irregular data. They consist of special studies of statistical phenomena with no regular dates of publication. For example, the reports of the National Income Committee, Tariff Commission, reports of the various committees approved by the government from time to time. Sources of unpublished data. Diaries, letters, unpublished biographies and autobiographies. External sources. External sources consist largely of regular data publication of the central and state government, including the various individual departments who compile and bring out vast and varied data for meeting the needs of planning, monitoring and evaluating different government activities. The compilers of these data are often not the users. Internal sources. Internal sources mainly include all those data publications of some kind or the other which are brought out both by public and private organizations, corporations, trade bodies, companies and other statutory agencies, institutions created under law. Most of these organizations and companies are required to compile and publish variety of data on their operations, mostly in the form of annual reports. Data available from internal company include employee records relating to name, address, social security number, salary, number of vacation days, bonus and so on. Production records relating to part or product number, quantity produced, direct labor cost, materials cost and so on. Inventory records relating to product number, number of units on hand, reorder level, discount schedule and so on. Sales records relating to product number, sales volume by region, sales volume by customer type and so on. Customer credit relating to customer name, address, phone number, credit limit, amount receivable balance and so on. The data presented in this report are primarily meant for internal use for monitoring and evaluating performance. The compilers of these data are the main users as well. Primary sources. Primary sources are described as such from the point of view of an outside user. These data users include individual researchers, universities, research organizations, government agencies and institutions. For example, a university teacher may use the data published in RBI Bulletin in his research paper on a specific theme. The researcher user of the required data, in this case, is an outside user and the source from where data are taken is the primary source. Secondary sources. They comprise all specific purpose research papers and reports, whether published, mimeographed or unpublished. Research papers and reports often provide useful data, well organized and properly presented in the light of the specific objectives of a research investigation. For example, a researcher may take the per capita income data from the Statistical Abstract of India, which is an external primary data source. The research findings may get published in Economic and Political Weekly. If a subsequent user views per capita income from the source, Economic and Political Weekly is then regarded as a secondary source. There are some issues confronted in the collection of secondary data. First one is identifying the sources of data. Various publications where the required data may be found available. Examining the available data, if these satisfy the needs of the proposed research investigation, and compiling and reorganizing the available data in the manner necessary for the investigation at hand. Now let us check your progress. State whether the following statements are true or false. The important issue in the collection of secondary data is identifying the sources of data. Reorganizing the available data in the manner necessary for the investigation at hand is not the major issue. Evaluation of secondary data. Secondary data need to be evaluated based on the following requirements. First is availability. It has to be seen that the kind of data we want is available. Next is relevance. The secondary data should be meeting the requirements of the problem. The essential criteria is units of measurement should be the same and concepts used must be the same. The third is relating to accuracy. In order to find how accuracy the secondary data is, the following points must be considered. Specification methodology used, margin of error should be examined, and dependency of the source must be same. The other criteria for evaluating is sufficiency. Adequate data should be available. Reliability. The reliability can be tested by finding out such things about the said data. Who collected the data? What were the sources of data? were they collected by using proper methods? At what time were they collected? Was there any bias of compiler? What level of accuracy was desired? Suitability of data. The researcher must very carefully scrutinize the definition of various items and units of collection. The object, scope, and nature of the original inquiry must be studied. Steps in the evaluation of secondary data. Assess overall suitability of data to research questions or objectives. This is done by two methods. The first one is measurement validity. One of the most important criteria for the suitability of any data set is measurement validity. Secondary data that fail to provide with the information needed to answer the research objectives will result in invalid answers. Often, when we are using secondary data, we will find that the measures used do not match those that we need. For example, in manufacturing organization may record monthly sales, whereas we might be interested in monthly orders. Unfortunately, there are no clear solutions to problems of measurement validity. All we can do is trying to evaluate the extent of data validity and make our own decisions. A common way of doing this is to examine how other researchers have coped with this problem for a similar secondary data. The second is relating to coverage and unmeasured variables. The other important suitability criteria is coverage. We need to be sure that the secondary data covers the population about which we need data. For all secondary data, coverage will be concerned with two issues: ensuring that unwanted data are excluded and sufficient data remains for analysis. Precise suitability, the reliability and validity. The reliability and validity we ascribe to secondary data are functions of the method by which the data are collected. Survey data from large well-known organizations are likely to be reliable and trustworthy. The Hoyes suggests that for initial assessment of the authenticity of secondary data, it is important to discover the person or organization responsible for the data. There are some steps formulated by Robert W. Joslin for evaluating secondary data. They are as follows: applicability of research objective, cost of acquisition, and accuracy of data. Now let us see the advantages of secondary data. Secondary data have fewer resource requirements. Secondary data enables the enormous saving in resources, particularly time and money. It is much less expensive to collect secondary data. It is time saving. Hence, we will have more time to think about theoretical aims and substantive issues, and also in analyzing and interpreting the data. Secondary data are unobtrusive. If we need the data quickly, secondary data is the only viable alternative. Secondary data provides the only possibility of undertaking longitudinal studies. Secondary data can provide comparative data, thereby facilitating regional or international comparative research. Secondary data generally provide a source of data that is permanent and also available in form that may be checked alternatively easily by others. It helps to make primary data collection more specific, since with the help of secondary data, we are able to make out what are the gaps and deficiencies and what additional information needs to be collected. And by analyzing secondary data, we can also lead to unforeseen or unexpected new discoveries. There are some disadvantages of secondary data. Secondary data may be collected for a purpose that does not match the need. Secondary data is collected for a specific purpose that differs from research questions or objective. They were collected few years earlier and so they are not recent. Access may be difficult or costly. When data have been collected for commercial reasons, gaining access may be difficult or costly. Market research reports are quite expensive. Aggregations and definitions may be unsuitable. Much of the secondary data we use are likely to be unpublished reports. As part of the compilation, processed data would have been aggregated in some way. These aggregates, while meeting the requirements of the original research, may be unsuitable for our research. The definitions of data variables may not be the most appropriate for our research needs. There is no real control over data quality. Although many of the secondary data sets are available for government and data archives, there is a question about the quality of data. Initial purpose may affect how data are presented. When using data that are presented as part of the report, we need to be aware of the purpose of the report. Statistics, especially other people's statistics, are full of pitfalls for the user. Terms may be used in peculiar senses and meanings might have been completely changed. Errors in secondary data. Secondary data may contain the following errors. They are transcribing errors. These are the errors occurring due to wrong transcription of the primary data. Estimating errors. The data published in many sources of secondary data are mere estimates and not facts. Error due to bias. Sometimes fictitious features are part in secondary data. Now let us concentrate on case studies. Meaning of case study. The term case study usually refers to a fairly intensive examination of a single unit, such an animal species, an area, a person, or a single company. It can enable the researcher to explore, unravel, and understand problems, issues, and relationships. The case study approach is often done to make practical improvements contributing to general knowledge. It is a form of qualitative analysis. It is a method of study in depth rather than breadth. The case study places more emphasis on the full analysis of a limited number of events or conditions and their interrelations. Thus, case study is essentially an intensive investigation of the particular unit under consideration. The object of the case study method is to locate the factors that account for the behavioral pattern of the given unit in integrated validity. Definition of case study method. According to H. Oldham, the case study method is a technique by which an individual factor in a group is analyzed in relationship to any other in the group. Burgess has used the words the social microscope for the case study method. Pauline B. Young describes case study as a comprehensive study of a social unit, a person, a group, a social institution, a district, or a community. Characteristics of case study method. Under case study method, the researcher can take one single social unit or more of such units for the study purpose. The selected unit is studied intensively. It is studied in minute details. Generally, the study extends over a long period of time to ascertain the natural history of the unit so as to obtain enough information for drawing correct inference. All phases of the social unit are studied. The approach happens to be qualitative and not quantitative. Every possible effort is made to collect information covering all aspects of life. An effort is made to know the mutual interrelationship of causal factors. The behavior pattern of the concerned unit is studied directly and not by an indirect and abstract approach. And case study method results in fruitful hypothesis. There are some phases involved in the case study, that is, recognition and determination of the status of the phenomenon to be considered, collection of data, examination and history of the given phenomenon, diagnosis and identification of causal factors as a basis for remedial treatment, application of remedial measures, that is, treatment and therapy, and follow-up program to determine effectiveness of the treatment applied. There are some merits of case study method. First is, it enables rich information to be gathered from which potentially useful hypotheses can be generated. Being an exhaustive study of a social unit, the case study method makes us to understand fully the behavior pattern of the concerned unit. This method enables a researcher to trace out the natural history of the social unit and its relationship with the social factors and the forces involved in its surrounding environment. The method facilitates intensive study of social unit, which is generally not possible if we use either the observation method or method of collecting information through schedules. Information collected under the case study method helps a lot to the researcher in the task of constructing the appropriate questionnaire or schedule. Case study method has proved beneficial in determining the nature of units to be studied along with the nature of the universe. This is the reason why at times a case study method is alternatively known as mode of organizing data. This method is a means to well understand the past of social unit because of its emphasis of historical analysis. Besides, it is also a technique to suggest measures for improvement in the context of the present environment of the concerned social units. Case studies constitute the perfect type of sociological material as they represent a real record of personal experience which very often escape the attention of most of the skilled researchers using other techniques. This method makes possible the study of social changes. On account of the minute study of the different phases of a social unit, the researcher can well understand the social change then and now. This also facilitates the drawing of inferences and helps in maintaining the continuity of the research process. Case study techniques are indispensable for therapeutic and administrative purposes. They are also of immense value in taking decisions regarding several management problems. At the same time, there are some demerits of case study method. It is inefficient in researching situations which are already well structured and where the important variables have been identified. They lack utility when attempting to reach a rigorous conclusion or determining precise relationship between variables. The danger of false generalization is always there in view of the fact that no set rules are followed in collection of the information and only few units are studied. It consumes more time and requires a lot of expenditure. Case study method is based on several assumptions which may not be very realistic. Case study method can be used only in limited sphere. It is not possible to use it in case of a big society. Now, so far we have seen the meaning of secondary data, the sources of secondary data, the difference between published sources and unpublished sources, and finally the method of evaluating secondary data, and also about the case study method. Towards the end of this module, each one of you would have learned the meaning and significance of secondary data, the sources, merits and demerits of secondary data. By learning this, it would really help in understanding the pros and cons of secondary data and the precautions to be followed while using secondary data. Now, initially when you are as a researcher, when you are interested in compiling secondary data, please check the source of authenticity of secondary data and the method of adapting the data compiled to your objectives and related hypotheses. Collecting secondary data is useless unless you know the method of using secondary data. Please check the time of publishing the data and authenticity of data. Also check the reliability and accuracy of data. Once we are very sure that the data collected is very authentic, definitely doing research by compiling secondary data is fruitful as compared to that of going for primary data.